walking, marching on the freedom line. Ain't gonna let nobody, can't let them turn me around, Lord, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I just keep on walking, oh, I keep on walking, because I'm marching on the freedom line.
How do? I think Front Range alumni UCC. This is Strider, Arkansas Benston. And my friends C.T, Vivian, and John Lewis each died 2 days ago on Friday. And I'd like to give a little thought on them. I call them two brothers in time, for they died on the same day, although C.T. was 95 years of age and John was 80. But they worked in the same movement, sometimes at different wings of it, but we learned how to work together most of the time, even though often the different groups, the different grouplets, and different individuals had far different ideas and strategy and tactics, and we came from all kinds of different places. So it was absolutely crucial that we had people like C.T, Vivian, and John Lewis who were able to keep us bonded together, where we could work together as much as possible, and especially at the voting rights movement in Selma, Alabama. John Lewis, Martin Luther King called him the boy from Troy. He grew up in Troy, Alabama, and he went to Montgomery to meet with people on the bus boycott and learn what he could back in 1956. And then he came back later, and Martin said, "Are you the boy from Troy?" And so they connected a little bit, and John went to American Baptist Seminary in Nashville, and there you had two of the great mentors, Jeff Lawson, who had studied in India, Gandhiism, and my mind went crazy. Jim Lawson, and C.T. Vivian. C.T. was an adult mentor of the beginning of the movement in Nashville back in 1958. So when the sit-in started in 1960, the kids, at least a few of them, Bernard Lafayette, Jim Bevel, Diane Nash, and John Lewis in particular, had already been trained and educated in nonviolent theory, and they started the movement in Nashville, and they merged with the Atlanta movement and the sit-in movement, and Ella Baker created SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. So the first big thing was the freedom rides. CORE started it in Washington, and they were going to take 2 buses to New Orleans. But John Lewis went with them as a SNCC representative. He got beat up severely in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Got back on the bus. Then they blew up the bus in Anniston, Alabama. And then a mob attacked the bus in Birmingham. And Diane Nash sent replacements down for the wounded. And they rode down to Montgomery, and that's a major story what happened there. But eventually they got federal support, and they got to Jackson, Tennessee, where everyone left was thrown in Parchman State Penitentiary. And there were about 400 freedom riders who were jailed, and about close to 100 of them were white. So it was black lead, but it wasn't black exclusive. So anyway, in '63, John was elected chairman, and Doris Holmes Norton just said on TV today, the reason we elected John as chairman was because he was the bravest. Well, everyone was brave, so that was really a distinction. But John and C.T. both put together a triangle to where the radicals and the moderates could discuss and dialogue and learn from each other. C.T. represented SCLC and John represented SNCC, but they always cared about everybody and showed us a way to bond. So I only learned in '64 at the end of Freedom Summer when I met Fannie Lou Hamer and the rest of them on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. So I hitchhiked to Selma and started working in January of '65. And Bernard Lafayette, one of those four, created the movement in Selma. And in 3 years, the foundation before Martin came and we started the marching. We had different strategies, but we worked together pretty well, often with a lot of conflict. And like many people, I worked with both groups. And so sometimes one would claim me and dismiss the other one. Sometimes they reject me and the other group would like what I did. So it was difficult. But John also, he represented SNCC, but when we organized the March on Montgomery, he said, I'm going to be there. And SNCC was a policy of freedom. We have a group policy, but you do what you do. So there were a lot of SNCC people on that bloody Sunday, and I was one of them, but I worked with both groups. So anyway, let me go back to March on Montgomery. C.T. Vivian, I've got a picture of me and him here. Martin Luther King said C.T. was the greatest preacher who ever lived. That's pretty good for Martin Luther King. But he went up to Marion, Alabama to preach that night, February 18th of '65. And I got ordered to be at the infirmary in Selma to take care of the wounded when they came back. Well, that's the night they killed Jimmy Lee Jackson. So we were going to carry Jimmy's body to the state capitol. That's why we organized the March on Montgomery. So C.T. was key in pulling that together. So we go on Bloody Sunday. I'm about 50 feet behind John when we got over the bridge and all the clubs came. I got knocked out, but I only got glancing gloves, so I was only out for maybe a minute. And then the tear gas that blew off right in my face. But anyway, we get back to the church, Brown's Chapel Church, and everybody was moaning and crying and tear gas and blood. And then the moaning turned into a hum. Ain't gonna let no tear gas turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. And Cheyenne Webb, an 8-year-old girl who was there, this is her book, Selma, Lord Selma. She said, at that moment, we realized we had not been defeated, we had won. So then 2 weeks later, we marched to Montgomery. Eventually, we got the right to vote. John Lewis was actively involved in that, and he was with Bobby Kennedy when they killed Bobby. So he has now been in Congress for the last 34 years. I communicated with him once in a while. And as Eleanor Holmes Norton, who should be a Supreme Court justice, but she said John Lewis talked point, In other words, he was right at the focal of what was necessary and what was right. So John recently said, if you criticize us or don't participate because you don't want to get involved, come walk in my shoes. We've come a long, long way, but we still have a long way to go. And in the Bible, I think it was Isaiah, God speaks, and whom shall I send? Here am I, send me. So John Lewis and C.T. both represented that, and with their entire lives. And almost everyone I know from the movement in 50, 60 years ago, almost everyone still alive is still active in the movement. And let me give you a poem of mine. If I can help one person to heal his wounds, bring courage to one who is paralyzed by fear, understanding to one drowning in confusion, a home for one who is lost in the wilderness. If I can clear somebody's eyes so she may see the rainbow and bring the word of truth to one beset by lies. If I can sing to you a song to help the flame grow and let you know that love is still the prize. If I can help you find meaning when you flounder in despair and chase away the lonely from your heart and spring you from the prison built by those who do not care and practice murder and oppression as their art. If I can free the little child within you and teach you once again to sing and dance, if I know some of the steps, let me begin to sit on the path this very day and no longer waste my chance. John Robert Lewis, C.T. Vivian, thank you for being here and giving us your everything. And like the Bible says, when the time is nigh, here I am, send me.